Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Hour with me, Paul Abernathy, your host. And if you're familiar with any of our other podcasts, we have quite a few podcasts that you can find out all about all of our podcasts over on electricianlive.com. That's the channel where we have all of the podcasts and videos that we do, whether it's on Master the NEC or it's Let's Ask Paul or it's on Electrify. So go check that out. Just want to do a coffee talk. I know it's kind of late in the day here on Christmas Eve. I still got my coffee. Been in the studio doing some podcasts and recording some shows for the next couple weeks in advance, so I have them already. I wanted to kind of go over and look at a couple things as we start to really ramp down now for the 2023 NEC. So we're done now with the second draft. The votes have been counted, the ballots. Now, TerraView is what I'm looking at, and I'm not so sure that this accounts for all of the ballots yet, but I figure it'd be a good time to kind of look at it and see what's the potential for what's going to be coming out here in the 2023 to kind of give you a little sneak peek at what's going to come out. So a couple things that we look at here is, and let me go on and see if I can't get something else going here real quick so that I can make sure that I can see if there's any comments, although they won't be shown on the screen. But we'll just kind of see if we can't get it going here. Okay. So we're going to look at some of the changes that are proposed for the 2023. Now, I get it. You might be on 2017 and you haven't even gone to the 2020 yet. I get it. Code educators and people like us that are involved in the code cycles, we kind of have to stay a little bit ahead of the curve. So we're constantly working on the code, and so we like to share things so that you kind of get an idea of what's coming down the pike, what's changing for the code. At this point, the only thing left is the NITMAMs, the notice of intent to make a motion. And I'm sure there will be a few of those that get submitted on some things. But at this point, we're kind of going to look at what's in TerraView. And I don't know is whether or not this reflects the ballots, because we've submitted our ballots and they've already been cast. So it could change from what we show here, but I figured I would start off in some upcoming episodes where I kind of show you where the flavor of things are going. All right, so first things first, we'll look at, I'll go on and get this up for me real quick. So you can see here what we've got here is 210.8. And also you can see any of the SRs or anything on here, which is second revisions and whatnot as well, and the numbers and all, if you want to write them down and go look it up yourself. If you have a free NFPA account. So a listed Class A Gfci shall provide protection in accordance with 210.8A through F. The Gfci shall be installed in a readily accessible location. Got rid of some of the informational notes. And again, for the purpose about the measurement and things like that, we have simplified here for the purpose of this section, the distance from receptacle. Man, we're in 210.8, so this is all about receptacles here, and we're in A, so it's dwelling units first. The distance from a receptacle shall be measured as the shortest path the power supply cord connected to the receptacle, that's the attachment plug that would plug into it, would follow without piercing a floor, wall, ceiling, or fixed barrier. Okay. All right, so let's kind of look at some changes here, or what the intended changes here. Now, I've got the strikeouts on so that you can see what it looks like, or what it will look like. So again, added the word following. So all 125 volt through 250 volt receptacles installed in the following locations. And then again, got rid of the making direct reference to A1 through A11. Guess because this, obviously there's a 12 now. But at the end of the day, why keep doing a numbered list? Just say all of the following and just list all the following. Supplying a single phase branch circuit rated at 150 volts or less to ground shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection for personnel. So bathrooms still there. Garages and accessory buildings that have a floor located at or below grade level, not intended as a habitable room, and limited to storage areas, work areas, and areas of similar use. That didn't change. Outdoors, didn't change. Crawl spaces at or below grade level, still require those receptacles be GFCI protected. Basements, you kind of looking for them to go back to unfinished basements, but their argument was all basements has this hazard. So we'll see if that actually changed also for other than dwelling units, because you know what? A basement's a basement. But anyway, we'll see what the code panel 2 did. Got rid of some of this informational note language. Didn't feel, I guess, it was necessary. Here's an interesting one, number 6 for kitchens. Now, it used to say kitchens where the receptacles are installed to serve the countertop surface. Well, it looks like with that change, all receptacles now within a kitchen. So you're going to have to make sure that you delineate the difference between when the kitchen might turn into some other area that's not a kitchen, like a living room or whatnot. So if the receptacles are in the kitchen, it no longer now is specific to just countertop. So it's all receptacles in the kitchen. I don't know if that one was necessary, but hey, that's what it is. That's what we're going to have for 2023. Unless, again, something changed when it came to the voting stance. But I don't know that this is updated for that. Okay. Let's see. Let's see whatever we got. Okay. Next one we have is 7. Now 7 says, this is a new one here. It says areas with sinks or permanent provisions for food preparation, beverage preparation, or cooking. So this is areas with sinks, and then it says, and provisions provided for food preparation. So this could be a wet bar that has a sink and also has a counter for food preparation, beverage preparation, or whatnot. So again, this would kick in those areas that in the past might not have been associated with needing to have GFCI protection for those receptacles. Obviously, it does now. We have sinks, which is not changed, but sinks is very broad, so it picks up anywhere in the dwelling unit that has a sink. So you're going to be receptacles were installed within 6 feet from the top inside edge of the bowl of the sink. And remember, that takes us back to where we have to know how to measure it, right up in here, because we have to know how to make that measurement so we can measure from where? Well, from the top inside edge of that bowl of the sink to that receptacle to determine whether or not it needs GFCI protection and whatnot. Okay. Let's see here. Next is boathouses. No change there. Number 10 is bathtubs and shower stalls. No change there. Laundry areas. Indoor damp and wet locations. No change there. We have some exceptions here. Now notice the first exception. I'll scroll up a little bit. Hopefully I'm not blocking it with my head. No, it looks like it's up the top. So we're not. So you should be able to follow along. It says, the first exception says, receptacles that are not readily accessible and are supplied by a branch circuit dedicated to electric snow melting, de-icing, and pipeline and vessel heating equipment. No new change there for that one. Number 2 says a receptacle supplying only the permanently installed, and it had fire alarms and burglar alarms on it. That's now been marked out. So it's going to be premise security systems shall be permitted to omit ground fault circuit interrupt protection. So it's not prohibited. You could do it. It's just, again, it just says it's going to what? It's going to permit it to be omitted. Okay. Now, interesting, because premise security systems are not really, may or may not include fire alarms. Okay. Or believe it would be burglar alarms. So again, interesting take on how jurisdiction is going to look at this. When it says, look, it's a fire alarm system in my house. It's not necessarily a premise security system. Would you still now be required to have the GFCI protection on it? Or is the exception going to play a role in here? Again, somebody that's reading it literally might come across that. Let's see here. Exception. Let me get back to my code here. Exception number 3. Again, this has to do with those devices that we have definitions for. Receptacles, the WSCR, there's weight supporting ceiling receptacles, the little round ones, and then you have the attachment fitting that clicks into it. So that is something that those receptacles would be exempt from needing GFCI protection. So that's what's here. And I'm getting my phone blown up by people texting me, and I'm not sure why. Anyway, okay. So let's go on and see what else has changed now. All right. So looking at other than dwelling unit changes. It doesn't seem like there's any significant change in the title. It looks like bathrooms, kitchens, areas with sink and permanent provisions for food preparation, beverage preparation. So this is very similar to what we had added to dwelling units, but obviously this is to pick up those rooms in your commercial buildings. It might be your break rooms and things like that. So now we have that same similar thing that wouldn't be a kitchen for a dwelling unit in 210.8a, but now that's in there to kind of cover that. Rooftops. We used to have an exception, says receptacles on rooftops shall not be required to be readily accessible other than from the rooftop. Looks like they moved that exception now. It just says rooftops in general. Okay. Sinks. All right. So it says sinks changed, got rid of all these exceptions so far. It says sinks where receptacles or cord and plug connected fixed or stationary appliances are installed within 6 feet from the top inside edge of the bowl of the sink. So, all right, so it's receptacles or cord and plug connected fixed or stationary appliances are installed within 6 feet of the top inside edge of the bowl is going to require GFCI protection. Again, remember, this is other than dwellings. Okay, so it's going to pick up not only any receptacles, but also cord and plug fixed or stationary appliances that would be within 6 feet of the top inside edge of the bowl of the sink is going to now require GFCI protection. Okay, so that's a change and got rid of all of these little exceptions, it appears. Now remember, I'll remind you as I always do, this is a situation where this could change on a vote. This could change on a NITMAM. So we're just kind of looking at the second revision and what it is as it pertains to TerraView right now. Let's see. Indoor damp and wet locations didn't change. Locker rooms and associated showering facilities didn't change. Garages, accessory buildings, service bays, and similar areas other than vehicle exhibition halls or showrooms, that didn't change. Crawl spaces at or below grade didn't change. All right, so we're at the basement one, and it looks like it still only applies to unfinished areas of a basement and other than dwelling. But when it comes to a dwelling unit, it applies to any basement, whether it's finished or unfinished, for GFCI protection. But when it comes to other than dwelling, it's still only going to apply to those receptacles that are in an unfinished area of basements. Okay. My only guess here for this, and I'm just speculating because I'm not going to go look at the SRs on this episode of this coffee hour, which I encourage you to do. You can always go in here and look it and click. Let me show you. You can click these things up here and you can look at what the discussion was and why there's been changes. But, and the reason I won't do it because it's liable to take me away from this screen and then I got to figure out how to get you back and all that. So it's not going to do it today because we're just kind of getting an introduction. 2023 is still about a year away. So maybe a little over a year away before it's published. We still have a little bit of stuff to do on it, but I just kind of wanted to give you an inside peek of what's going on with it. You know what I'm saying? All right. So still unfinished basements. I got rid of all these exceptions down here. And we have 13, which is aquariums, bait wells, similar open aquatic vessels and containers such as tanks and bowls, laundry areas, and of course, bathtubs and shower stalls. When it came down to the exception, it looks like there's a change in exception number 3. And this says, okay, let's read this exception. It says, receptacles or cord and plug connected fixed stationary appliances installed within 6 feet from the top inside edge of the bowl of a sink shall not be required to be GFCI protected in industrial establishments where the conditions of maintenance and supervision ensure that only qualified persons are involved, and assured equipment grounding conductor programs in accordance with 590.6b2 shall be permitted for only those receptacle outlets used to supply equipment that would create a greater hazard if power is interrupted or that has a design not compatible with the GFCI protection. So the rule was added up here, as you can see, okay, where we have to have that protection, okay? And here it added, you know, fixed or stationary and within 6, okay? So we have that. Down here, It's only giving you an exception for industrial establishments. Now, you're going to have to qualify that. And typically, an industrial establishment is a facility that actually produces products, actually makes it. Not a storehouse, not an Amazon warehouse, but actually produces products. But again, you're going to work with your local jurisdiction to determine what's considered a industrial facility. And you can turn to the International Building Code to try to help you just determine that. But you're going to have to work with your AHJ on that. Otherwise, just GFCI protected. Exception number 4, it says receptacles or cord and plug connected fixed and stationary appliances installed within 6 feet from the top inside edge of the bowl of a sink shall not be required to be GFCI protected in industrial laboratories where the receptacles are used to supply equipment. If removal of power would introduce a greater hazard. So you might have some systems that need to stay functioning, and these receptacles in this location that if they were to lose power, it was called something else to break down and cause a bigger issue or a bigger hazard. Okay, it's a lot easier to think that we can control shocking somebody, but losing power to something that could result in the building exploding or something, this is a totally different beast, right? So these exceptions are very specific. And so when you're utilizing, you're going to have to know whether or not you're in an industrial establishment or you're in an industrial laboratory. Again, I'm not here to give you that definition of that. You'll need to work with your AHJ to make that determination, or the design engineer, whatever they call it. And remember, design engineers hold a lot of power when it comes to classifications of locations. So a lot of times having them put that on something can give you some direction as well. So make sure you work with your electrical designer. Of course, exception number 6 is just adding and making sure it's meeting those types of weight supporting ceiling receptacles, as well as the attachment fitting that snaps into it. These are for those heavy luminaires or heavy ceiling fans that are just a quick one-click connection. It's a very proprietary system, but if you go to the definitions, you will see that there's a definition in there now for weight supporting ceiling receptacles, as well as weight supporting attachment fittings. So check that out. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so if you might remember in the 2020 code, we didn't have that list under specific appliances. So it appears, and this was up under 422.5, it appears that back here under D now, we're going to get that list again of specific appliances that typically would be up in 422. So here it's going to give you a list, and you see that third one used to be cord and plug connected, high pressures. Now it just got rid of the cord and plug connector. That way it could be hardwired or cord and plug connected. High pressure spray washing machines. Got to list everything. Notice that here we're talking about electric ranges. We're talking about wall mounted ovens. We're talking about counter mounted cooking units. Wow. We're talking about clothes dryers. We're talking about microwave ovens. Seem to now have been added to the list of specific appliances that's going to require GFCI protection. So for folks out there that said that they, that's, I mean, of course, previously, if it was in a certain proximity, then it would require it. Well, now it's specifically requiring it. Okay, so check that out. That is something that it's going to increase the cost. You're going to have to put more two-pole GFCIs in, because I'm not aware of any receptacle style of GFCI for these type of appliances. So again, look at this: microwave ovens, clothes dryers. Okay, so counter-mounted cooking unit, your cooktops, all those type of things are going to be it. Okay, now again, it's 150 volts or less to ground and 60 amperes or less, single or three-phase. Okay, so we're expanding that GFCI protection even more. Okay, and let's see, no real change to E. F. So F was one that's been quite controversial around the country, dealing with outdoor outlets. And I'm making sure that you folks can see it. You can see it. It's at the bottom. My head kind of blocks it, but I am unable to do anything about that, so I'll explain it. This is the one that, familiar with that is that Texas was probably the first that said, look, we're not going to have this because it was causing a problem with some of the mini splits, and it was tripping GFCIs, and they're worried about people burning up, heat strokes and things like that in the summer because of this issue. And you've heard me say, I think it's more the manufacturer's issue of those equipment than it should be anything to do with the GFCI receptacle requirement for outdoor Outlets, now remind you, I say receptacles, but outdoor outlets would be receptacles outdoors, which is already covered by 210.8. This would cover things like that outside air conditioning unit. Now, typically, the outlet is probably down at the HVAC unit, but we typically will do this up at either at the disconnect or in this case upstream at the panel. But this is most certainly at some point on this, whether you get confused, it's still going to be an outdoor outlet. Even if it is wired from your panel to a disconnect down to the outside HVAC unit, there's still an outdoor outlet component here, so it's going to require that it have GFCI protection. But here's what we've got to read. It says for dwellings. Okay, so this is still only applying to dwellings. It says all outdoor outlets. Okay, notice it got rid of this language here. But it says all outdoor outlets other than those covered in 210.8a, exception number 1, okay, including outlets installed in the following locations and supplied by single-phase brand circuits rated 150 volts or less to ground, 50 amps or less, shall be provided with GFCI protection. Okay, so outdoor outlets. Garages that have floors located at or below grade, okay. Accessory buildings, okay. You notice that they struck out all outdoor outlets for dwelling units other than those covered in 210.8a exception 1. Why? Because they put it up here in the body of the code language. Okay, so they put it up there. Boathouses says if equipment supplied by an outlet cover, now this is a part you guys might not be able to see, and I'm blocking some of it, so I apologize, but I'll read it to you. It says if equipment supplied by an outlet covered under the requirements of this section is replaced, the outlet shall be supplied with a GFCI protection. Okay, so it's telling me point blank, if equipment supplied by the outlet covered under this equipment, under this requirement is subject to replacement, the outlet shall be supplied with GFCI protection. Okay, more of a retroactive type of thing. If something's being replaced, it's going to have you put in GFCI protection. Exception, GFCI protection shall not be required on lighting outlets other than those covered in 210.8c. Okay, and that would be the ones right here that are in crawl space lighting outlets. So this is not going to apply to your lighting outlet that's outside by your door, your exterior light. That's a lighting outlet. It's not going to apply to that. Okay, so it's going to apply though to any crawl space lighting outlet that is not exceeding 120 volts installed in a crawl space. Okay, so that's kind of your changes. And again, not 100% sure where all these may go at this point. That's kind of the changes that we have for 210.8 right now. So we're going to see what happens. Now, the next one I want to look at going to take me out of 210.8, by the way. So let me kind of go where I want to go here and see if it doesn't screw it up here for our coffee talk. I'm going to go down here to 210.52, and I'm going to be looking at countertops. Okay, so hopefully this shows up. Okay, all right, so this is a change, and we're going to look at it a little bit and see what maybe their intent here is going. Now, again, I'm going to remind you again that there's still NITMAMs to go. I don't know whether or not what's happened here. I don't know whether or not the final ballots are reflected in TerraView. Okay, so again, I say this with the caveat. I don't know. I can't remember how TerraView works, but I can tell you we have voted, and this is what was being proposed as part of the vote. So again, I'm assuming that it is up to date. But again, I'll do follow-ups and all, because again, we're getting into that 2023 cycle where we're changing things. So I want to make sure that I keep you up to date so that all the little things that are changing, I can make you aware of it. And we'll do that on a bunch of other videos that we do with code change. And hopefully we'll do some with the Basement King, and he'll be able to join us for that as well. All right, so let's look at it. So here is the countertops and work surfaces. Okay, now the SR is right here, and you could click on it and see the discussion on it. And so let's see here. It says in kitchens, pantries, breakfast rooms, dining rooms, and similar areas, similar to kitchens, pantries, breakfast rooms, and dining areas of a dwelling unit, receptacle outlets for countertop and work surfaces that are 12 inches or wider. So still have that 12-inch threshold. If your countertop is 12 inches or wider, it's going to require receptacles there. So shall be installed in accordance with 210.52C1 through C3. So we lost one. It was a C4. Now it's only C1 through C3. At least that's where we're at right now. And shall not be considered as receptacle outlets required by 210.52A. So this is saying that the countertop receptacles that are going to be required by 210.52C1 through C3 cannot be served by the wall receptacles that are required around the room, okay? And vice versa. So that means the wall ones can't serve as the countertop. So the whole purpose here of C is to establish the receptacles that are going to be serving the countertop and work surface, right? So that's what this is all about. So this is just kind of setting the tone, and nothing changed there. We do have some underlining here. It says, for the purpose of this section, of course, this is section 210.52. It's there we're using multi-outlet assemblies, and that again is your strip. We have multiple receptacles in it. It says each 12 inches. So if you have a 12-inch one, okay, it says each 12 inches of multi-outlet assembly containing 2 or more receptacles, and typically if they're a foot long, they'll probably have 2 or 3 or 4 in there, installed on individual or continuous links, shall be considered to be one receptacle outlet. So if I'm putting these multi-outlet assemblies in, and they've got 2 or more receptacles in it, they might have 3 in it, but if I'm required to have, let's say I have a 12-foot section of countertop that has to have a receptacle outlet in it, I could have one of these multi-outlet assemblies there. It could have 2, it has to have 2, or it could have more receptacles in the multi-outlet assembly, but it still only counts as one receptacle outlet. And that's what it's trying to say. And that's fine for a 12-inch wide countertop. I only need one receptacle outlet. So that would serve, and you'd be okay, right? Kind of giving you an idea of what it's talking about. All right, so you'll notice that one here has been all, marked out here. So, okay, so we can ignore that. And then we'll go down and say, okay, so we're talking about the wall space now. All right, let's see if we can look at some of the language changes here. It says receptacle outlets shall be installed at no point on the wall line. Okay, and then the wall line, by the way, remember, is, this is a countertop or wall space. That is the counter butts up against the wall. So that's the wall line. Okay, we're just putting the counter up against the wall. So receptacle outlets shall be installed that at no point along the wall line is more than 24 inches measured horizontally from a receptacle outlet in that space. The location of the receptacle shall be in accordance with 210.52C3. Okay, so that is going to tell us, again, that it probably can't be below 12 inches. It can't be higher than 20 inches. Okay, but remember, we're talking countertop, the wall space. Exception number 1 says, receptacle outlets shall not be required directly behind a range, counter-mounted cooking unit, or sink in the installation described in the figures. Okay, so see these figures? So this is, you're not required to have anything back here and you're doing your wall line measurement. It kind of breaks the measurement. This creates like a imaginary void. If it's exempt, if this value here is less than 12 inches. Okay, if this is less than 12 inches, then you can forget that this exists and it considered a break in the countertop, and you start your measurement from the edge of this range, counter, whatever, and you go, can't be more than 12 inches to the left and more than 12 inches to the right. 24 inches to the right, 24 inches to the left. Then you could go 4 feet from there to the next one, because if you went right in the middle, you wouldn't be more than 24 inches from the receptacle on the left or the receptacle on the right, okay? Not really our lesson today, but, it's coffee talk. We're going to talk about it. Speaking of which, I'm going to have some coffee. It is 3:14 Central Standard Time, and I am still drinking coffee. Yes. My New Year's resolution, if you're watching Basement King, was to lose weight. And I did mention that one of my other goals was to stop caffeine. But the reason I didn't mention it is because that's one I'm probably going to not succeed on. Okay. Still going to lose the weight, but okay. All right. So same example here, just kind of nail it out. Here is a corner mounted one. If this measurement behind the range, sink, counter mounted cooking unit, whatever, if this value is less than 18 inches, okay, then this space can be exempt. And basically when you're measuring the countertop, you just draw an imaginary line straight back here, and your measurement starts from here, and you have to have a receptacle within 24 inches this way. Same way here, 24 inches this way, okay? And y'all are all probably familiar with this. This is no change. I just wanted to show you since I'm right here anyway, you might as well do it. All right, now there's an exception number 2 we got to look at. It says where the required receptacle outlet cannot be installed in the wall area shown in figures 210.52C1, okay, where it can't be installed, says the receptacle outlet shall be permitted to be installed as close as practicable to the countertop area to be served. Wow. Okay, where it's giving you some allowances here. It shall be permitted to install as close as practicable. Okay, we'll leave that up to the AHJ. So the total number of receptacle outlets serving the countertop shall not be less than the number needed to satisfy 210.52C1. These outlets shall be located in accordance with 210.52C3. And we're going to look at that as well. So again, you'd have to have the number that would allow me to serve the 210.52C1. So I still have to do my measurements, right, in order to make sure I have a certain number. Okay, so the total number still has to be there. This is allowing you to put them where basically the AHJ will let you, it looks like, as close as practicable to something. Okay, so if I can't not install a receptacle in a certain space, then I can get as close as I can as practical to that and be able to do it. Okay. Giving a little bit of a leeway here to the AHJ to make a call here. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Not sure I'm a fan of that one, but I guess there are situations where you can't get a receptacle there, and people, my brother actually had one of these. He was like, I can't put one there. How do I get one there? And again, there was a place that he could have put it. It wasn't necessarily compliant, but it was impractical to put it, you know, you couldn't put it where it would have been compliant. So you would have to contact the AHJ and get it as close as practical to the countertop area to be served. And again, there's some leeway there. So this is going to give some allowance. Of course, we could click it and go look at the rationale, but I'm going to leave that to you to go look and see it. We'll do that in an upcoming episode, because right now, all we're doing is just giving a quick peek. Trust me, 2022, we're going to be killing these code changes in 2023. We're going to be examining it. And on some episodes, I will go deep into the explanation, but not today. It's really relaxed. It's day before Christmas. Just kind of looking at some changes coming your way. All right, the next, dealing with islands in peninsular countertops and work surfaces. Okay, this one is going to be, if this actually passed, and maybe it has, here's the detailed SR on it. Again, we won't go look at it today, but here's what it says. Now, first thing you'll notice is it sure does look like our measurement stuff is disappeared, right? So maybe it'll pick up down here, but I don't know. So let's look at it here. I think that the home builders are going to love this. I'm not so sure I love it, and I'm not so sure what Code Panel 2 was thinking, but let's read it. Here's what it says. Receptacle outlets for these island and peninsular countertops and work surfaces. This is a big word, if. It says, if, not that it shall be. It says, if installed to serve an island or peninsular countertop or work surface, shall be installed in accordance with 210.52C3. If a receptacle outlet is not provided, that's why that if is so important. If it's not provided to serve an island or peninsular countertop or work surface, provisions shall be provided at the island or peninsular for future addition of the receptacle outlet to serve the island or peninsular countertop or work surface. So what this is saying is, Mr. Electrician, you don't have to, it's this real fancy island in this multi-million-dollar home, and you get an argument with your customer who says, I don't want a receptacle there. It's going to mess up my cabinet. And you can now go, okay, I don't have to put it on there in 2023 if this ends up being the final thing in the code. Okay, but you still got to run the circuit there. You're still going to have to put it there and add the provisions, whether it's in a junction box in there, a 4-inch square capped off, all that. It's still got to be there. I don't understand this because we spent, I don't know how many years arguing on code panels that we didn't have enough receptacles there. Then we came up with a way to calculate to put more receptacles there. And the code panel 2 guys are the ones that did it. Now in 2023, we're saying, don't put one there. But run the circuit over there and put it in a box just in case somebody wants to add one in the future. Look, if they didn't want to add one at the beginning because there's a reason, do you think they're going to add one later? It's just going to encourage the use of extension cords. Here we're at the holiday. And my island, for example, is where we put the crock pot and cook and have it so that people can come. And there's this thing my wife does every year. And, we plug it in right there, keep it warm right there. There's a receptacle at the island. Well, if there isn't any receptacles there, I guess you'll have to put it somewhere else. But it encourages the use of extension cords. And I thought that was the whole purpose. One of the whole purposes. But now I just don't like this one. But anyway, hey, for all of you out there that wanted your wish to not have to put them there, okay, still got to run the circuit. Seems pointless to me, but there you go. All right, so let's look at the locations, and I don't know how much you can see it because it is at the bottom of the screen, but I'll read it to you. It says receptacle outlet locations. Receptacle outlets shall be located in one or more of the following: on or above, but not more than 20 inches above a countertop or work surface. Okay, not really a change, just how it was written. Number 2, in a countertop. It says in a countertop, so it doesn't say or work surface anymore. It just says in a countertop using receptacle outlet assemblies listed for use in countertops. Okay, so got rid of the word work surface. Again, I guess it's still a countertop. So it was not necessary. We could go look at the reasoning behind that. We'll look at that in future episodes. Again, it's just coffee talk, just talking, chatting. Let's see here. Next, number 3, it says, got rid of all of this, 12 inches below. And what does it say here? It says, in a work surface using receptacle outlet assemblies listed for use in work surfaces or listed for use in countertops. Okay, I'm gonna have to dissect this a little bit here. So location, number 1, it's telling me that it has to be on or above, not more than 20 inches for a countertop or work surface. Check. Then I can have one in a countertop using a receptacle outlet assembly that's listed for use in a countertop. Now remember, you can buy these like the pop-up kind and things like that. There's 2 different kinds. There's the more expensive one. These things are $300 and $400. Those are hardwired. They can serve as the permanent receptacle. The ones that have a cord and plug and end up with an attachment plug, they're not going to work because those receptacles would be below the counter and you would plug it in, and that's more like a relocatable power tap. They're cheaper, but that's not going to work. You have to have the hardwired ones, and they got to be listed. Okay, they have to be an outlet assembly that is listed for use in a countertop. So then you can put it in that. So we have the countertop requirement. It looks like now underneath it, we have the same thing for the work surface application. Not sure why you wouldn't leave those combined. But I guess they make some that are listed for use in a work surface, but maybe not listed for use in a countertop. I don't know. I'd have to go look and see the rationale, and that's the point. See these little things right here in the TerraView? I can go in there and look at it. Now, I'll click this one just because we're at the end here of looking at this, and we'll see what happens. But I'll go in and click it and see what it does. Okay, see what it does? I would have to adjust the screen to see it, and y'all can't see it, so I'm not going to adjust the screen for that today. So again, sorry about that, but I knew that would happen. So anyway, I'll have to set that up on a later date, and we will, because we will analyze each one of these as we move forward in future coffee hours. That's what we're going to use to analyze the code. All right, so there you go. That is your changes surface. Again, just looking at the 1,000 foot, 2,000 foot, 30,000 foot view, maybe. Okay. Yeah, so practicable, education power, whatever. Correct my grammar, it's okay. I'm just a dumb old boy from Texas who grew up in Virginia in the sticks, so I probably don't have proper speech, and my education's probably not worth anything. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm talking about, all right? So there's our change. There you go. And let's see, what other change might we have? Let's just look and see what we have. Let's see here. See if there's anything in small appliances. Nope. Let's see if there's anything in bathrooms. Nope. Let's see if there's anything in laundry areas. Nope. What about hallways? Nope. What about foyers? Nope. Okay. Well, we were only going to go to 210 today, so we're going to come back. So, and anywho, that was what you had for 210 in .8, and we went on and looked at 210.52c when it came to countertops with islands and peninsulars and all that kind of stuff. So that is your changes and what's potentially coming for 2023. So on another episode, we will go into some other changes. But again, this is just simple coffee hour where we're going to just have a casual conversation and talk about potential changes that are coming up. Also, I'll be sharing websites or different neat websites that you can bookmark that might help you for doing different calculations and stuff like that you can save on your phone and all that. So that's the kind of stuff we'll be doing. Real quick, while I've got you all here, let's see if this will work. I've had a lot of people ask me about this, the website, and let me see if I can figure this out here real quick. Hold on, folks. Let me see if I can transform this here real quick so that I can show you something here real quick, because I have people asking about this on the website. So hold on here. Let me move something while I'm here. I'll try to do this on the fly. There we go. Well, let me see if I can, let's see here, fit the screen. Okay. Let me move it a little bit to the left. Okay. So a lot of people have been asking when we do the Thursday nights and we give away the free monthly subscription to our subscription plan, if you happen to earn it or somebody gifts it to you or whatever you want to do with it, people have been asking, how in the world do I activate it, or how in the world do I do it? Well, first of all, if we're going to add that to the spin coming up for Electrify in 2022, we're giving away more 1 month access, 2 month access, 3 month access, annual access to exclusive content. And anything new that we come out with, and all the stuff that's on YouTube will eventually always be exclusive only. So while you have a sneak peek at like the residential commentary series, eventually you will not. It'll leave YouTube and it'll only be available to members. So if you wanted to know how to get to that, or if you want to attend our Wednesday night sessions and you're not a fast track student, if you become a member, you subscribe, you click the subscribe button on the screen and you can subscribe. Okay, I just want to cover this. So I can hit subscribe. And what happens is you can subscribe annually or the monthly, and it'll be auto debited out of your PayPal account. You only have option for PayPal here. Over here, it's just a one-time fee, your credit card or PayPal, whatever you want. But once you do this, you come over to members. Now, see in mine, this is what you get access to. This is what it should look like. These are all buttons. But what you would have if you didn't have access is it would say create an account. So what you want to do is create an account, set up, put in your email address, and I recommend you use the same email address that you used if you purchased a membership, or whatever you plan on using as you interact with the website. You put the email address and pick your own password, and then your account will go to us and it's waiting to be activated. Once it's waiting and we activate it, then if you've been gifted or somebody bought you a 1 month membership or 2 month membership or a gifted membership, we will activate that for you. But the first thing you need to do is go to members and click on it and get an account. Once you're approved, then we'll know that you need to be given access to the members only area. And this is where you get all the videos and all the podcasts and the links to our grounding and bonding seminar, the links to our weekly exam prep that you can join us, and all that type of stuff is all there. Okay. So don't forget the Sparky Hub. Don't forget to read our blogs. Okay. If you want to know the laws in your state or what the exam prep requirements are in your state or the licensing in your state, you got all these links. If all these links at the top, you got the more button. You can look at other things over here. Contact us. You can always reach out to us by clicking the contact button. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I pointed all those things out because some people aren't still aware that all that's there on our website. So other than that, if we have any questions, I can go to that and see if there's anybody that has any questions. So let me go and open this up real quick. All right. I don't see any questions in the list here from today's just quick coffee talk. So that's it. We're going to end it for today. And I hope you all have a wonderful Merry Christmas and that Santa's good to every one of you. Remember, there's a reason for the season, and have a happy and safe new year. Very prosperous for all of you that are in the trade or owners of businesses. And we will see you in 2022. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless.